This week, Star Citizen Alpha 2.2.1 is out, and bounty hunters are heading to Crusader in force. We chat with community content creator Board Gamer about his YouTube tutorials. Our partners at Behavior share their growing space plant collection. And we explore the galaxy with Sherry Heiberg and our lore writers. All this and more in this week's Around the Verse.
Right, Spike 64 has worked it out, the new criminal system. Do you have a laser weapon yet?
I do not. It's a great system. It's really cool that we're not having ships getting randomly stolen constantly. But I cannot bring myself to be a bad guy in video games. I genuinely feel morally bad when I do that. So no laser weapon here.
Ben is our good guy all around. Welcome to Around the Verse, your weekly look at what's happening in the Star Citizen world. I am Sandy Gardner, and I run the marketing at Cloud Imperium Games.
I'm Ben Lesnick. I'm Director of Ship Development.
And Ben, what can we do in Star Citizen today?
Well, dogfighting, and more dogfighting. It's plenty of space combat with a little bit of ground combat thrown in. We've kicked off Alpha 2.2 for our mini PU, or Persistent Universe, which lets people sample the kind of nucleus of what Star Citizen will become. You can crew multi-crew ships together, you can fly missions together, there's FPS ground combat on the various stations. It's pretty cool. We also have dogfighting and arena commander, and you can explore our first planet-side location in ArcCorp.
It's not just dogfighting though, really.
There's a lot more than I know.
Yeah.
Dogfighting is the basis, and we're kind of building it around that.
I more recently just like to kind of goof off and fly around rather than dogfight. So.
Which is cool because so many MMOs recently have been just here, do this quest, earn gold. The great example for me was Ultima Online, where I would just log in and I would be like a fisherman, or I would hang out with my friends or something. And Star Citizen kind of reaches for that, and let's get in there.
I would like to be your local AAA person. Yeah. In case your ship breaks down, then I get to be a mechanic that I always wanted to be.
I will have to get your crucible.
Yeah, there you go. Star Citizen Alpha 2.2 went live last week, and the team is working on a smaller patch to address some of the technical issues we've discovered with this release. As long as everything goes according to plan, we will be seeing 2.2.1 very shortly.
Yes, on PTU first, but soon after to live.
What else is happening?
The Saber and the Jean Scout are available in the Pledge store right now through Monday. This is in honor of the fact that the Saber is flight ready with 2.2, and the Jean Scout is now available in hangars. So if you're interested in either of those ships, you can pick them up. We also have the Saber on the Rec store. If you're interested in trying it out, you can earn Rec and Arena Commander to do just that.
The February 2016 monthly report is now live. Backers can pore over lots and lots and lots of details about Star Citizen's development, and we have it on good authority that there's a surprise or two hidden in there. Something about Big Benny's song.
We're also happy to announce that 2.2 has brought out not one, but two stretch goals. The J-Span cooler is available to everyone now, as is the Jean Space Plant. And there's also some more interesting facets of the space plant which will make themselves appear down the line. So keep watching that space plant.
We kicked off filming of Star Citizen's Making of documentary this week by shooting talking heads of Chris Roberts. We began the process by putting Chris in front of a camera and asking him to talk about the early days of Star Citizen, and the result was some fascinating footage. Thanks to Tom Hennessy and his team for making the shoot a great success.
We'd like to thank everyone who came out to the Bar Citizens events that were held in Santa Monica, Austin, Manchester, and Frankfurt. It sounds like a great time was had by everybody. Check out the pictures.
I had a lot of fun at the LA one.
I had a lot of fun too. I was there with you, so.
Yeah, there was a really good turnout. It was really quite cool.
Our backers are amazing, and as I said at the time, it's letting the team interact directly with them. It energizes everybody. It makes us, believe all the more in what we're doing. We're really grateful to all you guys out there making this game possible, whether you can make it to a Bar Citizen or not.
Yeah, and I enjoyed how everybody wore Star Citizen or Squadron 42 stuff. It was very cool. Because I didn't feel left out. I showed up by myself, and everybody was there. It was nice. And do you see what I have?
Yes.
Yes. Dog tags. They are going to go up on sale as of tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 1 o'clock Pacific, we'll be kicking off our new style of dog tags specific to Squadron 42. So the layout's a little bit different. It's got the Squadron logo, and it's got your Navy serial number and so on. If you'd like one of those,
yeah.
Tomorrow at 1.
If I go out flying as a criminal, then I'm going to put one of these in my boot.
I've heard that's how it's supposed to work.
Exactly. Now let's go to our teams around the world and see what they've been up to this week.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Los Angeles. You're here with Eric Kyron Davis and
Patrick Matthew.
We've got a bunch of cool new updates for you, but the first one is this gentleman to my left just started with us this week, and we're very excited to have him. And so I wanted to have him come on the news and tell us quickly what his first task was. So he's working alongside lead engineer Paul Reindell. And so Patrick, what is one of the first things Paul has you tasked with?
All right, so the first thing I'm doing is taking like a vehicle power plant item and porting it over to the new item system you guys already have going on.
Yeah.
So that's basically the first task. I think I'm going to be working with Chad because he's already ported over a few other items. So
Cool. Awesome. That's great. And then on the other side of the building, we're working on several different pieces of art. We've got the Heavy going back into concepting phase, which is very exciting. Jeremiah Lee is working on that. And then on the tech content side, we're working on component LOD pass, as well as just LODs in general. Those are always a big part of the process for us to make sure it's kind of an optimization pass for the tech content team. So that's the quick news from LA. Thank you for stopping by. Again, I'm Eric.
I'm Patrick.
See you guys next time.
Hello, Tyler Whitkin here, Senior QA in the Austin, Texas studio. Wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update about how things are going over here. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. Live Ops and QA have been burning the midnight oil in order to get 2.2 in y'all's hands. Luckily, we were able to do so at the end of last week. There's still a few issues we're concerned about, some stability, some desync, some issues with the 300 series, and a few others. But we're actively testing those fixes as they come online, and hopefully we'll have those fixes in your hands very soon so we can consider it squashed and then pick up momentum and run with it towards 2.3. We're actively testing 2.3 right now in our game dev stream, which eventually will branch out, which will become patch 2.3. On the animation side of things, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. They're currently working on the NPC world population animation sets, so things like the Astro Armada set, the G-Loc bar, the Living City, etc. So lots of cool stuff like that that'll help bring the world to life. They're also working on some Squadron 42 animations, some animation sets for Mark Hamill, and then of course very exciting stuff with the Starfarer, some animations for ladders and stuff like that. Additionally, we've got some continued development for Persistence, which is something I'm really looking forward to, and our back-end engineers have been feverishly working to accomplish their goals with that. From a design perspective, lots of cool work being done on the shopping front with Kasaba, and then also a lot of work being done with the economy. They're actually doing like a deep dive study into what ship components cost for ships in real life so they can better gauge what pricing should look like in-game for various ship parts and ships. But yeah, that's all that's going on this week. See you guys next week.
Hey everyone, Brian Chambers from the Frankfurt office, and this week we have
Tom Johnson.
So yeah, we're combining UK and Frankfurt this week. We haven't told the editors they're going to put it together. We'll just dump it to them and see what they do with it. So this week, team's working hard as they always do, and I say that every single week. At the end of last week, though, we had Bar Citizen.
Yeah, a bit of a minded and I think this is a global thing, isn't it? Where all the studios took a moment to meet up with you guys, and had a lot of fun in Wilmslow, and I hear you guys did too here. It's
Absolutely.
really good opportunity to get some FaceTime with the guys. And
Yeah. I think we had in Frankfurt, we had about 85 backers there, and it was awesome. We had probably 20 members of the team went out, hung out, had drinks, talked, chatted. The energy from the backers, at least for me personally, and the other guys were there. I mean, you know, if you're buried in your work and sometimes the details and there's stress and so on, it's like feeling that energy from the backers, knowing how excited they are and how pumped they are. I mean, it totally pushes us.
Yeah, it reminded me of CitizenCon a little bit, where it'd been a while obviously since that event, and kind of reminded you about all the passion that the backers have got, and that definitely spurs you on when you go back to the office on, like we did on Monday, just following this one. And we should do more of them, I think.
You guys were in a big bar as well, yeah?
Yeah, we picked a bar in Wilmslow, and we just sort of hung out with them, and it's almost like a very strange speed dating.
It was very similar. I had some people that were like, okay, well, I'm here, what's the agenda? I'm like, the agenda is to hang out and talk.
Yeah, it wasn't even like always about Star Citizen, it was just nice to just see the guys' backgrounds and what it is they do, and just sort of get to know each other. So, it's really good. Yeah, it was cool. It was fun. And one guy, I don't remember his name, but he gave me a version of the infamous 24-hour stream lamp. Yes. I saw him show up with this lamp, and he's like, "Do you want the lamp?" And I'm like, "I can't take your lamp, no way." And he's like, "No, I have a couple of them. I think you should have it." So we now in Frankfurt have a copy of that. So one thing I think we could jump on, and we've talked about in the past, since Germany and the UK are close together in time zone, we work really close together. Yeah, it's nice to have a European partner now. Like when you're waiting for the American studios, we've got someone else to help out and get in the trenches on some issues. And I think obviously there's overlap with some of our teams as well, and being in the same time zone helps with. Likewise with one studio's leading the way, like you've got Francesco and the AI team, and we've got a counterpart, Rich, on our end. And,
absolutely. And we see that all over, like, Caleb for effects. Yeah. He's our only effects artist here in Frankfurt, and I think we may have some more lined up, but he's reporting into the UK, and that's where he's tasked, and his stuff is reviewed, and so on. So I think so far it took us a little while, but we're getting that synergy. Yeah, it definitely feels like we're sort of getting into better momentum now with the team structure. Absolutely, and even with Tom here right now, he's only here for a few days, but hop on a plane, hour and 20-minute, hour and a half flight, whatever it is, now he can sit down, he's working with Alex, the senior producer here, where they're looking at the schedules and tearing apart what the remaining bits they need to get it all put together. And there's the actual collation of the data is the one thing, and then there's also getting the process unified and standardizing how we actually display this stuff. So there's some things that you kind of take for granted that aren't that simple to just kind of expect everyone else to do right off the bat. So sometimes it takes a bit of discussion and consensus. And I would honestly say I think that's one thing that we continue to do, and we probably will continue to do for a while. I mean, maybe forever, is always finding ways to improve the communication, improve the processes in place to make sure the communications there straight, the schedules are clear and concise, the dependencies are clearly laid out. Because with a project this big, I mean, there's tons of detail in there that people like Tom and the other guys really need to sort out to make sure that we can pull off what we want within the time that we want. Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces there, and with such a talented team, you don't want to let them down by lack of communication. You really want to make them sort of set up to succeed, and that sort of comes through good organisation and structure, and makes everyone's lives a lot easier. So it's great to have such a kind of nice working relationship now, I guess, with you guys. It's your first time out here too, huh? Yeah, first time in Frankfurt. Slightly early flight at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was getting up there. Nice. Kind of propped up by the caffeine today, but it's great to meet everyone in person as well who I've not met before. So. Absolutely, and that's one thing too that I find interesting when I meet the other guys in person. I feel like I've already met them in person. Because we're in these meetings all the time, these video conferences and so on. So once you had to meet him face to face, you're like, oh wait, we've never met.
Yeah,
Right?
it adds a human element to it. It's nice to
Absolutely.
sort of actually.
Yeah, and later this week too, or actually coming in later tonight, we have Chris is coming out, Aaron's coming out. We're going over more things on the procedural tech, which I know I keep hinting on. We're going to look at the schedules that Tom and Alex have been put together. We're also having a couple of the designers from your team come out, Luke and Carl. They're just coming for face-to-face time with our design team because our design team's getting bigger over here between level design and system design. So again, they can sit down, have face-to-face, talk over mechanics, talk over stuff that they're tuning, look at their plans and what else they have to do. So cool.
Yeah.
Anything else from you?
No, just good to be here, I guess, and keen to get everything nailed down with Alex this week. So
awesome.
Yeah, it should be good.
Cool. Thanks again for watching, playing, backing, all that stuff, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Next up, Jared highlights another community content creator in this week's wonderful world of Star Citizen. Let's meet Board Gamer and find out about the work he's been doing on Star Citizen tutorials.
Today I wanted to talk about Windows 10 and how it compares to Windows 7 and 8 for stability, gaming performance and Star Citizen. But Star Citizen can be quite a complex and daunting undertaking, especially for new players. This starter tutorial should help guide you from creating an account, to grabbing your first ship, to buying weapons and piloting in some dogfights, as well as highlighting some of the experiences available in the baby persistent universe.
Welcome everybody once again to the wonderful world of Star Citizen. I'm your host, Community Manager Jared Huckabee, and on this week's show, we're sitting down with Star Citizen YouTuber, Mr. Board Gamer. Board, how you doing, man?
I'm very good, thanks. I'm all dressed up in my Operation Pitchfork gear.
I saw that.
Thank you very much for having me.
Hey, it's no problem. Now, do I call you Board? Do I call you Mr. Gamer? What do I call you?
So yeah, either board gamer or monkey. That's basically what I'm known as mostly in the community.
All right, thanks, Tim. So I'm sitting here with Tim, and we're talking about his. Is he laughing? I can't actually see him. I hope he's laughing. All right. So Board Gamer is a Star Citizen YouTuber. He's got a channel dedicated to Star Citizen videos that he's had for some time. He does tutorials, all kinds of stuff. Let's let him tell us about it. Board, Tim, Mr. Gamer, Monkey, tell us about who you are and what your channel does.
So I'm Tim, or Board Gamer. Apparently now, let's just run with Tim. Basically, I try to run a channel focused on Star Citizen and VR and technology, all with a slight taste for at least Star Citizen in some way, with quite short kind of time frames is the idea. So people are going to be able to get guides, tutorials, gameplay videos, and learn something while watching my videos in the shortest space of time possible is the idea. So we'll be exploring mods, hardware, how to do stuff in the Star Citizen world, whether that's the latest news that's come out or the latest patch and what you can do in that latest patch. Anything like that, really. We'll do some form of Star Citizen video on it.
Gotcha. And your channel has existed before Star Citizen. What did you used to do?
So originally I started with Let's Plays and that sort of stuff. It evolved into more informative content from Diablo 3, like how-to guides. And that's where I really found my niche. I went, I'm quite good at giving information in a short period of time. So I started doing Diablo 3, Titanfall and games like that. Then I got really into VR and eventually I picked up on this game, Star Citizen, from Chris Roberts, and I loved Wing Commander when I was very young. And I got myself an Aurora and then upgraded to an Avenger, and here we are, Star Citizen dedicated now.
Now, you've got quite a few Star Citizen videos now, and there's one that even has over 100,000 views?
Yes. So
tell us about that video.
Talking more about ships and roles in the verse, going over quite an in-depth look of exactly what the dream for Star Citizen is, and what we should be able to do in the future with bounty hunting, with piracy, with mining, all those kind of mechanics, and what ships are appropriate at what tiers. So I've kind of come up with my own ideas as well, which is explained in there, because there's only so much information we can go on by, especially this video's a little bit older now, it's almost a year old. So please take it with a pinch of salt if anything's slightly out of date.
That's right. Now, you're almost a full-time YouTuber. Is that a thing, a full-time YouTuber?
I am indeed a full-time YouTuber.
Okay. What did you do before you started, making your living on YouTube videos?
Yeah, so originally, a good few years ago, I started with running cyber cafes, then doing bespoke computers. More recently, I went into running restaurants, being a chef, and I left that because it was incredibly stressful, and started up the YouTubes, and now it's become basically a dream job for me.
Gotcha. Now, there are a lot of Star Citizen YouTube channels out there. What separates your channel from everybody else's?
So I'm a little bit of a scamp in my videos, so you'll get ones where I'm being as informative as possible in a short period of time as possible. We've got the news and we've got the guides and tutorials, but also when I do gameplay and when I do stuff where I can do a bit of role play, so some mechanics I'll try and explain from the point of view of the character. I've got some videos up like that where I pretend I'm a pirate, for example, with a group of people, or a bounty hunter or whatever. I try and play it in my more my gameplay style, which is quite erratic and very talkative, and I try and get what I want in those videos in quite a naughty, scampy fashion.
All right. And do you have a favorite video of yours? Like if someone wanted to check out Board Gamer, was there one video they should check out first?
I really like my tutorial videos, to be honest. Just a simple quick controls guide one. Possibly, I did one about stowaways on board ship, where I lose my ship and then other ships get killed by the guy that's just stolen my ship. That's probably one of the more fun gameplay ones.
Okay. And some basic Star Citizen background. What's your favorite ship in Star Citizen to fly?
So it's kind of two at the moment that exist in the game at the moment.
Okay.
I have a lot of love for price to performance ships. So the Avenger Titan, I absolutely love. That ship is really cost effective. It allows you to do so much in the verse. But I also have a lot of love for the 325A because I learned to fly in it, and even against very good pilots, I can still be relatively competitive in it.
Okay. All right. And you've played Star Citizen, you've played ArcCorp, Arena Commander, Crusader, whatnot. What's your favorite thing to do in the game now?
Pretty much anything socially with multiple people, whether that's multi-crewing a ship or PvP or making our own missions up and flying around the verse and then going to Korea and all that sort of stuff. Anything in a large party of people. I'm so about the socialization and the multiplayer. And this game has so much on so many levels that interacts on so many levels with it. And I'm super hyped for everything in the future. But at the moment, just the party system at the moment excited me so much.
Fair enough. And what's one thing you're looking forward to most in the future of Star Citizen?
Oh, I mean, there's
Just
so much.
thing.
I mean,
Just
procedurally generated planets, the economy, there's too many. I am an economy player by heart, though, so it has to be implementation of the economy, trade, mining, that sort of stuff is so exciting for me.
You told me in our pre-interview you'd be happy sitting down and just watching your UEC run in.
Yeah, so I love the idea of being able to mastermind situations. If you can, I love digital currency in my virtual bank account. Literally watching that tick in is just kind of like a silly dream to me. If I can do that sitting in a bar or chatting to people or watching something on my second screen and playing the game simultaneously, that I think that's an amazing thing. If I get NPCs and other players to do it for me, that's just great. Living the dream.
All right. So now if there's, before we let you go, is there one message you want to share with the Star Citizen community?
So at the moment, Star Citizen is all about more people playing the game and getting more people into the community. I want Star Citizen to be as friendly as possible between community creators and fans and the viewers alike. And the more people that want to work with each other, the more people that want to get into content creation, the more people that just want to report on bugs on the game, it all helps us have an amazing game altogether. And people's feedback to me, anything they want to give me for feedback, it's really appreciated and genuinely really helps me. So thank you so much, guys, for letting me do what I love, which is Star Citizen and this YouTube channel. Thanks so much.
What a stupid answer. I hate you. I was kidding. All right, Tim, well, thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk with us here on the wonderful world of Star Citizen. You can check out Board Gamer's YouTube channel at Board Gamer UK. It's on YouTube, if that wasn't obvious at this point. And that's all we got, man. Thanks for stopping by. Back to you, Ben and Sandy. Say back to you, Ben and Sandy. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Around the Verse Behind the Scenes. Today we're doing Sub Corner. It's where we take a look at some of the flair that our subscribers get each and every month. Joining us for the show today are two of our friends from Behavior. Behavior is one of our development partners up north in Canada. Guys, thanks for joining us on the show. Why don't you tell folks who you are?
Hi, I'm Jesse Kalb.
Hi, I'm Simon Pichette.
I'm sorry, your name was?
Simon Pichette.
Smoke, hi. How you guys doing?
Very good,
Really
and you?
good, you?
Good. Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for being on the show. Now, before we get into talking about what this month's subscriber flair is, why don't you tell folks a little bit about what you do in general for Behavior?
Me, I'm a 3D artist. I'm doing the modeling and the texturing.
And I'm a level designer. I add all the flair into the hangars.
All right, cool. Cool. Now we've done a lot of flair in the past. We've done little ship models. We've done the Puglisi collection where we have space rocks and space debris and stuff. We're getting ready to introduce a new set of subscriber flair this month with our space plant collection. Now, it was actually a suggestion from the fans. We had a stretch goal item where we did the Xi'an plant, and when we asked our subscribers what other kinds of flair they'd like, additional plants was a very popular choice, so we're happy to take that into account. We're starting our new space plant collection. What can you guys tell us about the collection overall?
All the plants will be pretty different from different origin. I think that's going to be very cool.
Very cool.
And a lot of them, some of them will move, some of them might not, some of them will be animated. So there's a lot of things that we're going to see in the future.
Animated plants?
Right.
Like
some of them will grow, some of them might move with certain types of music.
Really? All right.
Nice.
Have you ever seen that movie Little Shop of Horrors with the big plant that grows and eats people?
Yeah, I really hate that movie. Well, just that part.
Now, what's the first plant that's coming into the game right now? Is it the Xi'an plant?
The space flower and the Xi'an plant.
Okay, so we're two, the stretch goal plant and then the first of the subscriber flair. What can you tell us about the Xi'an plant?
It's a beautiful plant. It's like a bonsai plant with a little bit whimsical atmosphere, alien stuff. Okay. With the little glows in the leaves. That's a beautiful plant. Yeah.
Gotcha. And what about the space flower?
Very contrast colored. It glows too. And yeah, that's a beautiful plant too. Smaller than the Xian one.
Okay. And what are your roles in developing these plants?
I'm doing the modeling and the textures.
And then after the art's done, I'll take it into the editor and I'll place them in all the hangers, and then I'll add the spawners so that when you have the actual proper item code, it'll spawn in your hanger.
Gotcha. And there's a lot of work behind the scenes with item codes and web codes and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Well, we just have to make sure everything's done properly so they don't get it too early or subscribers don't not get them at all. So after we make sure, I usually test it in release after just to make sure everything's okay.
Okay. And how long does it take to create one of these from start to finish?
5 days approximately.
All right.
Yeah.
What about you, Jesse?
After that's done, takes me about a day just to get into all the hangers, make sure they all spawn properly, make sure the lighting's okay. Pretty much that's it.
Gotcha. Now, why are some of these not as easy as others? I mean, we've done a lot of hanger flare, but my understanding is that some flare is a little more difficult to do than others.
Well, for these, there's a lot of items that we had to put into a prefab. So there's a lot of lights, there's a lot of textures, and then we also added the AR point of interest. So now when you're in first person and you look at the plants, there'll be some info that you'll see.
Oh, cool.
So we had to add that, and we had to make sure it works properly. And they also rotate. So there's a lot of things going on. So
the plants, they rotate, some of them grow, some of them dance with music.
Not these, but yes, in the future, possibly.
All right, so it's not just as simple as building a plant and sticking it in the hanger then. Now, we already mentioned some differences in the plants. Some grow, some maybe dance or whatnot. These plants all come from different planets, different star systems. What are some of the ideas you've had for different planets, for different plants? How do they differ from each other? What's some of the craziest ideas you've had?
Some plants will have a lot of VFX, some less VFX, from dry ground, different origins. The mood will be different too. The color, more contrast, less color. That's yeah. Oh.
And for the design side, we came up with a lot of ideas, and we also brainstormed a lot of ideas and asked the community to see what they would want the most. So we definitely have a lot of crazy things that we're thinking of, and some of them we actually just couldn't do because it just wouldn't work in the engine or in the game. So we had to scale back on some of those, but we still have a lot of crazy things coming up.
Gotcha. So these two plants are just where we're starting, and things will go from here with the next 6 plants?
5.
6 more?
Yeah.
5 plus 2.
5 plus 2, okay.
7 total.
Okay. I'm not math. Nobody's ever looked at me and said I'm math. Well, guys, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us and chat for a bit. It's always cool when we get to feature behavior on our show. You guys are an amazing partner, and we love working with you guys. So thank you so much for the work that you do. For those of you watching, the first of your subscriber flare space plant will appear in your hangers tomorrow. These plants are for subscribers only. If you're not a subscriber for any reason, you can, of course, subscribe. We have multiple plans, and you can get your plant, get your plant. Get a plant. Plants are cool. They make hangers look pretty. Get a plant. Get a plant. Subscribe. Go get a plant. Alexis is just shaking her head now for me. Hey, you caught it. All right, guys, that's it it's time to end the segment. See you later, everybody. Back to you, Ben and Sandy.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you, bye.
Guys at Behavior are amazing partners, and we'll be sharing more of their work in the coming weeks.
But wait, there's more. We have one additional segment that we're trying out. Here's something we're calling the Lore Maker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Hello, I'm Sherry Heiberg, the archivist at Cloud Imperium Games, and I'm here with the first episode of the Lore Maker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is a new segment about the lore and science behind each system and planet in our game. So now that we're here, let's get started. Our first system, and one of my personal favorites, is the Horus system. Which is a M-type main sequence star, also known as a red dwarf, with 3 planets, 2 asteroid belts, and 4 jump points. 2 going to Xi'an space and 2 going to UEE space. Now, Horus was discovered, whoops, there we go, let's go right back there. Horus was discovered in 2528 by a young explorer named Marie Sante. She ran away from home at a very young age, stealing a ship from her parents, called the Horus, which she later named the ship after. She explored for some time. It's rumored that she discovered the system when she was around 14 years old and spent the intervening years charting everything there, like these 2 planets, the asteroid belts, and this outer planet right here. When she first discovered the system, 2 of the jump points were as yet undiscovered. Those were the 2 ones that were going to Xi'an space. So as far as she knew at the time when she reported the system as being discovered to the UPE, it would be just a new system in regular UPE space without any political importance whatsoever, which was of course completely thrown out of whack in 2542 when she herself discovered the jump point to Rila. Which, where do we have that? Boop, 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 right here. This goes to a close by Xi'an system. Well, I may as well just jump through it so we can see it. With this giant star and all these planets. And of course that made it immediately militarily important because this was during the Cold War, during the Messer era when the Xi'an and the humans were very calmly at each other's throats. The resulting kerfuffle from that discovery led the UPE to declare Horus a totally military quarantine system. And so the few settlers who were on the first planet, they just didn't really care. They said, fine, we won't fly around, we'll just stay here on our planet. But Marie Sante was very upset because the system was her baby. So she refused to evacuate and just took her ship into the outer reaches of the system and continued to explore, which led to an incident with the military. A Navy explorer, a Navy ship found her in the system and reported an unidentified ship, and reported that to the UPE, which resulted in this military skirmish. No casualties or anything. But the incident was so obnoxious that they really wanted to pressure her to leave the system, and that's when they started to do that in earnest. So, duly pressured, in around 2545, Marie Sante vanished without a trace. She believed that the system had more secrets to discover, and she vowed that she would never share them with anybody. So who knows whether she did discover a new secret. The mystery of Marie Sante is something that draws tourists to the system, like people who are interested in unsolved mysteries, just like we are today. Marie Sante was right about one thing, though, that there was another jump point to Xi'an space, Kepha, which is right there, looking all valuable to the military, strategically valuable. Anyway, after the Cold War ended, the system that was once considered a really boring place for military ships to fly around and make sure no Xi'an were invading, became all of a sudden a really economically valuable system because it had these 2 jump points that were going straight to Xi'an space. Great for commercial interests. And so Serling, this first planet right here, which is only settled along the solar terminator. Let's talk about the star itself, Horus. This is an M-type main sequence star, which is popularly known as a red dwarf. You may have seen or heard of a show called Red Dwarf. These stars are interesting. They're some of the most common in the galaxy. They are the longest lived by far. I believe that we've never actually seen one die, which is an insane thing. They're billions and billions and billions of years old, and we've seen all kinds of other stars die, but never a red dwarf. When they first start out, they're often really unstable and have lots of flares, which is the situation in Pyro, just to have a little incidental piece of knowledge there. And the flares will go out like really, really far, and they'll scorch planets, and they'll make systems just totally uninhabitable and really hostile to any kind of person who wants to make a living there or explore there. But the star in Horus has long since settled its adolescent period, I guess. The flare star period tends to last around 1.2 billion years, and then they settle down into something really steady and really good for the possible development of life. They're cool. They tend to be about half the temperature of stars like our sun, which are G-type main sequence stars, yellow dwarfs. We really, really wanted more systems that had this type of star, since this star is so common, and we had tended to lean towards G and F type stars in the other systems. And so this was one of the earlier ones that we came up with that had this type of habitability model. The first planet in the system is Serling, and I'm sure that a lot of you picked up that it was named for Rod Serling, the host of the Twilight Zone, because it is only habitable along the twilight band of the planet. This was added to the game because we had recently discussed with a local scientist and read a little bit about these particular type of planets that circle very, very close to M-type stars, and they are in fact tidally locked to the planet. The animation so far doesn't reflect that, but it will in the future. That's one of the goals for making the star map more visually accurate to reflect the lore that we have in the game. Serling itself, it's locked around the equator, and so one side of the planet is just permanently facing the star, and it's warm, and it's got lots of driving winds, and there's a lot of storms, especially on the point that's closest to the star. There's storms constantly. And then on the other side of the planet is permanent night zone. It's a polar ice cap. There's really not anything that lives there. The abundant oceans on Serling, again, this is something that we will correct in the future visually, will make the habitable zone possible. Without the abundant oceans, it might just be this really weird planet that's baked on one side and ice on one side, and nothing would happen. But luckily for life, we have this one little strip of planet where people can live. The people who live on Serling, they tend to commute from the night to day side to simulate the night-day cycle that Serling totally lacks. And then they'll work on the day side and they'll sleep on the night side. This is just along the solar terminator, by the way. This isn't going to be, these people won't be stuck in storms forever on one side and ice forever on one side. It's generally, it's more temperate in the Meridian than anywhere else on the planet. A lot of people who are natives of Serling, who have been there for many, many generations, don't really care too much about going back and forth between the day and night cycle. They're used to living in this permanent sunset, which is pretty cool. Person, I think. There is a study going on at the University of Aten, which is located on Serling, that's kind of assessing the effects of what this cycle does to people, how it affects their mood, how it affects their productivity, how it affects their quality of life. Because the habitable zone of Serling is so narrow, it's got a pretty low population, and businesses that want to get a foothold in the system so that they can trade with the Xi'an more easily have kind of a tough time muscling their way in. Which brings us to the second planet in the system. Horus 2 has no name because it has no settlement. It is currently a desert planet. There's no water that we know of on it. But it is a viable terraforming candidate. It sits just at the edge of the green zone. And because of this, a lot of the businesses that want a foothold in Horus are really pushing the government to try to get this terraform so that they can settle in and open up trade relations with the Xi'an. It's a little bit more massive than a lot of small planets, which would give it a better chance of being terraformed since it's right on the edge of the green band. Now, zooming out, we can see the first asteroid belt. Both asteroid belts in the system are pretty sparse, which is honestly really common for a lot of asteroid belts. There are probably going to be some mining opportunities there in the future. Certainly mining opportunities that you can exploit to further trade relations with the Xi'an, for example, since they're right there. The system does see a good bit of Xi'an traffic sometimes. Whoops, went all the way out again. All right, our last planet in the system is Horus 3, right over here. This planet is special. It's a super Jupiter. Super Jupiters are gas giants that are more massive than Jupiter. That's the definition of them. But this gas giant is about 4 times as massive as Jupiter. It is one of the most massive super Jupiters that are in our game, which can be very interesting in gameplay. Whee! It kind of sits on the outskirts of the system, being large, being in charge, being desolate, because there's no life there. But it could be a place to refuel, that kind of deal. So anyway, that's about it for Horus. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes look at one of my favorite systems because of the cool science behind it. It's got a rare tidally logged habitable planet, it's got 4 jump points, and it's got a rare super Jupiter. So, got some neat science going on, good culture. Horus, yay. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I had a really good time talking about the system, and I hope to see you guys again. Thanks as always for being awesome people, for subscribing, and for making all this possible.
You might say that's really the cherry on the top of this episode.
Not going there. I'm just not. And we can't leave without an MVP. The envelope, please. Do we have an envelope?
Bum, ba, ba, ba.
Yay! Well done to Alexis for spelling MVP correctly. And the winner is Canito. Yay! For his video, Radar Globe 2.0. In this video, Canito showcases features already available in the current Radar Globe and includes suggestions of his own on how to improve it going forward.
I have it on good authority that our own UI expert, Zane Bien, has seen this video. He says that's good stuff, and he'd like us to remind everyone that we are always looking for talented UI designers. So check the Cloud Imperium Games job page. But thank you, Canito. You are this week's MVP.
Canito. Apologies if we're pronouncing this incorrectly. And of course, it wouldn't be Around the Verse without this week's art sneak peek. Ben, what is it?
It's this. Be sure to tune in to Reverse the Verse tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific on Twitch, where we'll be discussing that and all sorts of other Star Citizen full facts.
Thank you, as always, to all of our subscribers for making this show possible. We will see you next week on Around the Verse. Did you know that many of Star Citizen's developers are on social media? If you would like to follow Star Citizen on Facebook, you can find us here.
Or on Twitter, here.
And even Instagram, here.
And for a full list of developers' personal accounts they're willing to share with the community, check out this link. You can find out what I bought at Amazon this week.
Star Wars stuff.
It was probably Star Wars stuff.